so nostalgic to me to be reading this. Wow, look how good it is! It's a bit similar to Wild Dark Shore. Interestingly, depressing as heck. Hello, I just finished off another reading vlog and I'm starting a new one in the exact same spot because I wanted to continue with a new book. Welcome to this video. This will be a reading vlog about all of the books on my TBR and trying to whittle them down until I eventually get to at least under 100 books on my TBR this year. We'll see how that goes. So I just started a new book, My Antonia by Willa, Cather. I've read one other book. Yeah, I've read one other book by Willa, Cather, which I really enjoyed. And I was curious to see what I think about this one. I've had this book for, I'm gonna say at least 15 years. And I tried reading it as a young adult or as a teen. I'm not sure, I don't remember. I was young, I was a child. I tried reading it and I remember thinking it was boring. But one of my friends at the time recommended it to me. I think I was a bit too young for it, but now definitely not too young for it anymore. I'm quite sure I will not find this boring. So this is about two main characters. One is called Jim, one is called, I think it's just Antonia or Antonia. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. There's a whole explanation in the book about how you have to put the accent on Anne. In my mind, in my brain, it doesn't comprehend. My brain doesn't comprehend how that would work. So if you know, I want to say write it in the comments, but it's written in the book and I still can't do it. I'm gonna have to look it up. This is set in a pioneer era Nebraska. It talks about the two main characters, one a Bohemian immigrant, the other a native Virginian. So I'm curious to see what this is like. I've read 50 pages until now. This has like really wide spacing on the sides and quite a big font. So actually, I'm gonna guess this is maybe 25 pages. But until now, it's so lush in its descriptions of nature, and it's perfect because it's really warm here. The heat wave has struck my country. We are fully embedded in the summer temperatures, and this book describes the Nebraskan summer, which seems to be very similar to the Romanian summer. So there's very high temperatures. There is descriptions of fruit and grass, descriptions of these two children playing in nature, and I'm just loving it. So for example, perhaps the glide of long railway travel was still with me. For more than anything else, I felt emotion in the landscape, in the fresh, easy-blowing morning wind, and in the earth itself, as if the shaggy grass were a sort of loose hide, and underneath it, herds of wild buffalo were galloping. Oh, that's just so good. There was nothing but land, not a country at all, but the material out of which countries are made. No, there was nothing but land. Slightly undulating, I knew, because often our wheels ground against the brake as we went down into a hollow and lurched up again on the other side. I had the feeling that the world was left behind, that we had got over the edge of it and were outside man's jurisdiction. It's good. So I will keep you up to date with what I think of this book. But until now, it's really reminding me of books like Anne of Green Gables, but without that level of sweet quirkiness, but just like these soft descriptions of childhood in a very lively and lush nature setting. That's why it's reminding me of that. So if you enjoyed that, I will let you know by the end of it if I think you should pick it up. But until now, I think it's really beautiful. So I'll keep you up to date. See you. on how the book is going while I get ready. Generally, I'm really enjoying this book. I am currently about 200 pages in from the 400 that my book has. I think the main thing that I'm enjoying is this nostalgic feeling that the book is really good at presenting. You know those memories that you have from childhood that you'll never forget? It captures such a feeling of summertime during your childhood. I think those are my favorite scenes. But not only that, it's not just summer, it's really all seasons. I think it really captures the beauty and innocence of summer while also contrasting it to the harshness of winter. All of it happens on prairies. The intensity of nature is really important to this story, and I genuinely think it's one of its biggest advantages up until now. I really don't think the characters in themselves play such a big role in the way that I perceive this book. It's genuinely just more the feeling of the book than the plot or the characters. Because I grew up in the countryside and I had a lot of activities similar to the characters in My Antonia, it feels so nostalgic to me to be reading this. It has made me smile so many times because it reminded me of something that I used to do with my friends. Of course, it's not the same because I grew up a lot more privileged than these characters. I didn't have to work the field, or I didn't have issues with food like these characters would have. But nevertheless, the intensity of really harsh winters with so much snow, and then as a child going to play in the snow, contrasted to the beauty of summer spent at the riverside and basically romanticizing summer together with your friends, your free-spirited friends. It's such a specific feeling that this book is so good at capturing. And the main character, Jim, he befriends mostly girls, and the part where I'm at now is really about how he, despite people's opinions and despite everyone kind of rejecting these free-spirited girls, including Antonia, he still decides to be friends with them, and the girls are really what makes his childhood so magical. I think it's a lot like a product of its time. It's very similar to how I see her last book that I read, where it's a lot about like the pioneer woman. So it's from the perspective of a very specific type of person. It's very similar here. There's more leeway in the way that the author is showcasing different cultures and different types of people. Regardless, it's still very much a product of its time. It's still very much something that would not be written today, hopefully. I have to attest to the author's writing. It's so good to be able to capture a feeling that we universally somehow have as people, put it on a page, and then the reader can genuinely feel seen by it. It's so special regardless of where they're born or what their upbringing was. I just find it so special that an author can do that. And here Willa Cather is really good at it. Maybe if you didn't grow up in the countryside, it wouldn't be the same. I also just came back from a really wonderful walk. It's really warm here, but not that warm. It's usually a lot warmer in Romania for this time, and last week it was awful. Like, it was really intense. People could not breathe. But this week, for some bizarre reason, we are genuinely in autumn. I keep saying it's September because that's when my favorite time of year starts. And now we get September weather with September smells. There's the smell of people cutting wood, fire burning. I don't know why. Who is making a fire? I have no idea. My presumption is that people are making fire to make food. The benefit is still the same for me. I am getting autumn vibes. And on my walk, of course not full autumn vibes because it's still very warm, there were so many beautiful flowers and it was so wonderful. And that is genuinely my favorite way of getting exercise. I don't go to the gym. I work out at home. Going on walks is my favorite pastime. When I get the time and when I don't feel fully lacking energy, a good walk will always reinvigorate me. And it always reminds me of the beauty that God has put into this world. And regardless of what I'm going through, especially a good prayer walk will get me out of it. It will remind me of my blessings. It will remind me of my position in the world and how God will never abandon me. And he really uses nature to talk to me. And it's kind of my favorite time with God. Like Jesus is he's so graceful to me when I walk. I just love it. This time I went with my husband and my dog, and it's probably one of our favorite pastimes on a Sunday. Well, it's one of mine. My husband goes because he wants to be nice to me, and he knows that a walk will help him out. I'm going to continue reading. I will be going to church in a couple of hours. That's what I'm getting ready for. But I will hopefully be finishing this book today. I'll give you an update as soon as I can. But I hope you're having a good Sunday. What have you been thinking about today? I've been thinking about pride. I read some passages in Kings and in Chronicles. There were a lot about pride and thinking you can do things without God. Humbling to say the least. A good reminder to never put myself in the first spot. Anyways, that's what I've been thinking about, and about the book, and about my childhood memories, and what days at the river were like, what walking in a field was like. And I think because I was walking through fields today, it really brought back the same feeling, like the heat on your skin, the sun in your face, the smell of crispy, warm grass, the feeling of beautiful flowers on your fingers, and then a swift breeze hitting your face. It just brought me back to childhood, and in combination with this book, I'm really going through it when it comes to nostalgia. So yeah, let me know what you're thinking about. I'm really curious. We're a bit further with the book. I am almost done, so I have about 30 more pages to go. I'm so close to finishing it, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of an update as to what I'm feeling about this book. As I mentioned, I think the main beauty of the book is really man's relationship to nature and the memories made in it. Once you get past book 3, so once you start Lena Lingard, there's a shift in tone in the book. It's no longer about childhood. At this point, the main character is about 19. He starts to reprioritize certain things in his life, and he changes perspectives because he's getting an education, and his life is no longer set in a rural setting. So it completely changes, and this is where he really discovers how special his childhood actually was. When you start the book, there is a passage from Virgil that says "Optima dies prima fugit," which he later references in this part. So in book 3, the book that he's reading opens with the melancholy reflection that in the lives of mortals, the best days are the first to flee. Optima dies prima fugit. And I found that this passage that says the lives of mortals, the best days are the first to flee, it is so representative of this book, because you later see what happens to the characters. I'm not going to spoil the book, but the point is that he really starts to reflect on what was so special about when he was younger, and especially the days spent with these girls. So he, aside from Antonia, he meets another 2 girls. They are called the hired girls because they work. It wasn't necessarily something that was done by all girls, but these girls loved it. They loved working, having that kind of independence, because they would no longer have to work in the farm or at the prairie, and this was their way of kind of capturing their independence. They would do whatever they want. They would go to parties, they would dance, which was kind of frowned upon by a lot of people, especially considering how many boys that they danced with. And this was one of the boys, except he saw them shift from childhood into adolescence and later even adulthood. And I think seeing the change in these girls is what defines this book. The beauty and innocence of childhood, then capturing the freedom of adolescence and the wildness that they want to live by reconnecting with nature and loving being by the water, spending hot summer days swimming together and dancing in the evenings, and then the hardships of adulthood and yet the beauty of it as well. He reflects on this when he meets one of the girls, and he says that it came over me as it had never done before, the relation between girls like those and the poetry of Virgil. If there were no girls like them in the world, there would be no poetry. I understood that clearly for the first time. This revelation seemed to me inestimably precious. I clung to it as if it might suddenly vanish. As I sat down to my book at last, my old dream about Lena coming across the harvest field in her short skirt seemed to me like the memory of an actual experience. It floated before me on the page like a picture, and underneath it stood the mournful line, Optima dies prima fugit. It's a little bit similar to the Virgin Suicides. I know, a bit of a weird combination, but I just mean, if you've read that book and you know that it's from the perspective of boys trying to understand the girls that are in their community and watching them grow up and lose their innocence and not understanding what they are going through, and it being more about the boys' ideas of the girls. It's kind of similar in here. There's actually a passage when Jim is talking to Antonia when they're already quite a bit older, where he says that the idea of you is a part of my mind. You influence my likes and dislikes, all my tastes hundreds of times when I don't realize it. You really are a part of me. I don't necessarily feel like it's because he has this deep personal relationship to Antonia. It's more because of what she represents and what her resilience, what her upbringing, what even her foreignness gave him as he was growing up. It was so character defining for him. And all of the girls that he spends time with are immigrants, so it's something that he's not used to. For him, seeing girls that have a different view of life really awoke something in him, and what changed his perspective on life, even though he was so young at the time when he met them. I still have about 30 pages, like I said, not much to go. I'm excited to finish it, but also, especially with the warmth and the beauty that I have here at the moment with what nature is doing here, I'm kind of sad to finish it, but I'll let you know my thoughts once I do. I finally finished My Antonia. It's been a couple of days now since I started the book. As far as I understand, this is actually about a 200-page book, but my edition, because it has huge text and a lot of space on the sides, it's 400 pages, so my brain was convinced that this was a really long book, or it was like a pretty long book. It's not that long, but it's like a pretty long book. My brain was convinced that that's the case, so I didn't read it that fast. I read classics slower anyways. Regardless, aside from what I've already told you, I just have like a couple of things more to say. I was looking into Willa Cather, and then I enjoy making a little sticky note to put into the book. I just like little sticky notes for myself from the past. It's like a love letter to myself in the future. I just find it really wholesome. For a little context, this book was written in 1918, also published in 1918. This style of books, talking about prairie life, small town living, really rural settings, were very popular at the time because of escapism reasons. People were, of course, trying to run away from wartime depression. Oh my gosh, the sun completely went away. And now it looked like I'm in a bunker. My dog just sighed because she gets it. By the way, get excited. Well, I'm getting excited because I'm getting a new camera. My husband is also a videographer, so he, for his work, decided to purchase a camera, and I will be benefiting from it. And my audio should be getting better as well, so huzzah! Back to the book. Like I said, talking about rural life was seen as a great way of escaping the hardships of war. Not only that, it was very well received by liberals as well, because it talks about issues of women's rights. One of the main characters is a woman who is trying to find her way in life and being unconventional for the women's standards at the time. And it also discusses the hardships of immigrant life in the United States during this time. The sun is back and I look beautiful again. Now, final thoughts now that I finished this. I'm not sure what I think about Antonia's life by the end of the book. When it comes to all of the female characters in the book, there's quite a balanced perspective on expectations of women. There wasn't just one idea of what a woman should do. There wasn't just the concept of a woman becoming a wife and having children. I think it was quite interesting to see that Willa wanted her characters to have free will, and all of these women that are mentioned have very different situations by the end of the story. But I'm not sure I agree with where Antonia ended up, just because of how she started in the story and how I perceived her. Maybe that's also the idea of the book. You know, our concept of who Antonia is more important than who she actually is. Regardless, the ending was really beautiful. It was quite chaotic. I want to say chaotic. I meant, what did I mean? It was quite, I don't know what I wanted to say. My brain just completely shut off. The ending was fulfilling. It was beautifully written. So I would recommend it if you're interested in classics. I am now fully invested in Willa Cather's writing. I really enjoy the way that she writes. I enjoy the topics that she discusses. There's a certain dreamy quality to the way that she writes. There's such a hazy feeling to these books, which is something I quite appreciate. I know I've said it before because of the idea of the perspective of boys, of the girls in the story, but it's very similar to the Virgin Suicides. Again, not the calm title that I would have expected to give, considering the very different books that these are. But the Virgin Suicides is also very hazy, very dreamy. You don't really know what's going on. The writing takes you on a journey. This is similar. It has a flow to it, and you just have to go with it. It feels like you're being taken on a journey in a river. You're on a boat. You're just kind of trusting Willa, the captain, to take you wherever she wants to take you. A lot of food for thought in this one. That is book 1 of the vlog. Now, for a second book, I am feeling a little bit uninspired when it comes to my library. I just ordered some books secondhand. I've had a few weeks now of not purchasing anything, of not being excited by the books that I own, not being excited by the books that I see secondhand. I usually don't purchase new books. It's very rare that I do. I was even on the brink of purchasing new books, but they were so expensive. I was talking to my sister about this. She lives in Belgium, I live in Romania. I gave her all of the titles of the books that I'm interested in purchasing, and they were so expensive. I don't know what's happening. They were a lot more expensive in Romania, but they were still expensive in Belgium. So I don't know what kind of craziness is going on. Newsflash, purchasing books is expensive now. I'm not really in the financial bracket to be purchasing casually new books, so that's why generally I try to purchase them secondhand. I was on Vinted, and I finally saw a couple of books that I was interested in, and I ordered them. In the meantime, I wanted to continue reading from my library. I decided to pick up volume 4 of Lore Olympus. This is the last volume that I own. There's way more volumes published. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. It's a graphic novel, and it's quite playful, but at the same time, it addresses a lot of very serious topics. But as you can see, the colors are beautiful. Wow, look how good it is. I'll let you know what my thoughts are about it. Not Hades, I think a friend request for Stephanie. I am back. I am currently making dinner. It's vegetarian bolognese. I showed you before that I was reading Olympus, Volume 4. Am I on 4? Yeah, Volume 4. This was so lovely. I have to admit, I'm kind of easy when it comes to graphic novels because if I like the art style, I'm probably going to like the book. This one, I didn't think plot-wise it brought a lot to the overarching story. Art is just so beautiful that I don't really mind. It's one of those graphic novel series where it's just so beautiful to look at. It's so well thought out when it comes to the color work that I don't pay that much attention to the plot line. If you are one to read graphic novels for the plot, I don't think this is the one for you. If you are one to look for beautiful character art and see beautiful color composition, this one might be for you. Overall, I gave it a 3 stars just because I thought it didn't bring a lot to the series as a whole, but I will continue it just because it's so fun. I know I said it's a Hades and Persephone retelling, but just like an FYI, it's a kind of modern retelling. Its setting is not really clear just because there's cars and there's big buildings, there's skyscrapers. The underworld is this really moody city, dark city. You don't really know when this is happening. It's kind of vague. That was my second book for this video. Let's look at book number 3. My last book for this video that I decided to pick up is Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaghy. I read Wild Dark Shore earlier this year and I really enjoyed it. I'm not sure if enjoying is a word for what that book did to me. The feelings that book stirred up were not necessarily joy or enjoyment, but I did love the book. It was so beautiful. I know that most of our books are considered cli-fi, so like climate crisis sci-fi. This one is no different. It's set in the Scottish Highlands and it talks about the rehabilitation of a wolf pack into the Highland forest. And it's about the woman who is part of the team that does this. I already read about 30 pages of this, and she has a very special ability where she empathizes both with animals as well as with people. So she has mirror touch synesthesia, which means that her brain recreates the sensory experiences of living creatures, of all people, and even sometimes animals. If she sees it, she feels it, and just for a moment, she is them. They are one, and their pain or pleasure is her own. As she rehabilitates these wolves, or as she's trying to integrate these wolves into the forest life in the Highlands, she feels their pain, she feels their fear, their anger. If I understand correctly, it's also somewhat of a thriller and an investigation. Bless you. All I know is that, at least if Wild Dark Shore is a testament to what her other books are like as well, Charlotte McConaghy writes very gripping and tense novels that also have very beautiful lyrical writing. It's a very interesting combination of contemporary fiction or literary fiction and thriller. Up until now, it's a bit similar to Wild Dark Shore. You have quite a dangerous setting, a very lush, beautiful setting, a discussion about climate change, how we as humans affect the planet, and a character that is very traumatized and trying to work through inner conflicts and the relationship that she's building along the way. I'm very interested to see what's going to happen. I will keep you up to date. My sauce is going dry, so I will talk to you later with some updates. I finished Once There Were Wolves. Let's talk about it. I only gave a brief summary of what the book was about because I myself didn't really know what the story would be about, but this follows Inti and her twin sister who moved to the Scottish forest in order to reintroduce wolves into the forest. So that's kind of like the main idea of the book. However, this is a very heavy and trauma-filled book. It talks a lot about abuse. I did not know that going into it, but that's like a huge trigger warning. The last clip I filmed reading this, I was genuinely crying because it was so harsh and so intense. And while I'm aware that of course this is the reality for a lot of people, for a lot of women especially, I still found it really heavy to read and it felt really burdensome. Oftentimes when I read a book that has a very thought-provoking and very important topic in it, I feel justifiably angry that these things are happening, or I feel very saddened for the people that have to go through such harsh things. But there's other types of books or even media in general, I usually have this with movies a lot, where the way that the topic is handled in this type of media is very heavy and it leaves me with a feeling of deep empathy but also tiredness. And that's kind of what this book did to me. It really faces the harsh things, what can happen to a person if they go through a traumatic event, how it affects them both physically as well as psychologically and I find spiritually as well. But it really meets them head on and it doesn't shy away from the horrible consequences that traumatic events can have. My issue with the book to a certain extent is that at least until the last 5 pages, this did not feel hopeful at all. Like it was so much darkness. It was so devastating. It was so dark. There is a certain light at the end of the tunnel with this one. Just the journey you go on with, especially Inti, but my gosh, her twin sister as well. This journey is so heavy of a burden, both for the characters, but for you as a reader as well. There's a certain beauty to it as a reader because you end up developing more empathy for characters that of course you don't know. You come to know to a certain extent through this writing. I can't say that I enjoyed this experience. Of course, I don't think that was the point. It's really taking on an issue head on, and that's not always pretty or that's not always pleasant to look at or to experience as a reader. I think in that sense, it's really effective. I think the conclusion and the tone of the book is what isn't really for me. I don't mind reading things that are really heavy. I usually really don't mind that, especially if I have something to learn from it, which I definitely do. At least for me on a spiritual level, this left me looking at the darkness more than it did at the light. At the same time, this is such a good representation of what happens to people when they lack God. That's just what I was thinking the entire time. There is a passage in this where, right by the end, it's kind of like the emotional conclusion of all of this hardship. And it talks about a character saying that he could have become like a parent that was abusive, but he didn't. He became like the parent that wasn't abusive. And Inti says, we all have that choice, and most of us make it. There is cruelty to survive, to fight against, but there is gentleness. More than anything, our roots deep and entangled. And at least from a Christian perspective, I think that's our daily choice. If we choose sin, we end up going against what God created us to be, and we really fall into the vicious cycle of becoming more of the flesh than more of the spirit. It transforms you into the cruelty and ugliness of the world. Whereas if you choose to stand by Jesus and you choose to go against this ingrained sinful nature that we have, then there is beauty and there is gentleness in it because you're renewed and sanctified daily through the blood of Jesus. I'm quite sure that the author wouldn't necessarily have this interpretation of what she wrote. That's just something that it made me ponder on when reading it. There's a lot to say for Charlotte McConaghy's writing. I think she's amazing. Her writing is amazing. She stirs up a lot in you, and I think there might be a difference in the way that we would like to perceive the world, how we would like to take on the world. I was very much in a phase a lot of years ago where I would have loved something like this. I like dark themes. I liked very deep and heavy movies, books. I found that those would be the most thought-provoking for me. Now I find that the world in general and the lack of the presence of God is sufficient for me regarding darkness. And now most of the time I like to pick up things that are lighter, that give me hope, that give me joy, and that remind me of the beauty of God. But yeah, those are my general thoughts on this book. I would recommend Charlotte McConaghy. I would recommend picking her up. Just be aware of what she discusses in her books. Interesting read, depressing as heck. So those were the 3 books that I read for this vlog. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you are convinced to read or not read something. If you've read any of these books, let me know. I would love to talk about them with you in the comments. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!